All right. Welcome to episode 67 of the Centre Circle podcast. You got myself, Keith, hosting today. And I'm here with Adrian. How you doing, bruv?
I'm good. I can't complain. Just getting over a little virus, but I'm good.
Okay, good stuff. Yeah, our regular host is out on international duty this week. But,
Something like that.
Yeah, he'll be back next week. So yeah, we're just going to round off the Premier League fixtures that happened this weekend. Talk about Aston Villa against Arsenal, Brighton getting a win over Manchester United, Spurs putting more woes on Everton, and the rest of the fixtures that happened. So yeah, let's get into it. Aston Villa 0, Arsenal 2.
Yeah.
Big performance. Oh no, I'm not even going to say big performance. Big result for Arsenal. Because I don't think the performance was as good as what they played last year
Yeah.
at Aston Villa. And they came away with
nothing.
nothing. And I've seen a few kind of things in the media saying it's only the second game of the season. Why are Arsenal so kind of excited about the result? And for me personally, I think when you look at the two results that happened against Aston Villa last year, and especially the one later in the season, the effect on what it had on Arsenal kind of essentially stopped Arsenal from winning the league. It's a big mental hurdle to get over. I think if they had gone to Villa Park and ended up losing 3 games on the spin against Aston Villa, then you'd be like, oh,
there's something there.
Something
That's their
there.
bogey team.
But they got over the hoodoo.
Yeah.
So what was your take on the game?
I think you know what, it was a intense affair just because both teams wanted to set a marker. Like they both wanted to show the rest of the league that they mean business in this league. I think for Arsenal, for me, it's not about being excited that they won, but what I took from it, how professional they were in their performance. And it was about, this is what champions get applauded for, that, or we praise Man City for that, or Liverpool in the past, or Man United, or even Arsenal in the past, where it wasn't an outstanding performance, but it was a professional performance, and they got the result, and they came away with 3 points. And that's what it was for me. If I was going to mark the team out of 10, I think everyone got a 7. You know, in my opinion, no one was outstanding, but everyone was just very efficient in the job that they had to execute.
Yeah.
And I just think both teams were so focused. Neither of them were really giving up space to one another in the game. Like they both were doing pressing and counter pressing. Sometimes they were like really intense on their press. Sometimes they said, all right, let's absorb it and then we'll take the ball off you. So it was a good tactical game in many aspects of it. And I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a good game. For a cagey game, it was still quite good. There was still kind of intent from both teams to go out and win the game. So in the first half, I know Saka had a chance that Martinez saved. And then we've got to talk about Ollie Watkins. So the first chance that's fallen to him, when the ball's rolled across the box to him, you know when you're watching a game and you can just envision the ball hitting the net, like the ball rippling. And I was like, yeah, ball's rolled to him, he's going to score. And then he just screws it wide. Yeah. I'm just like, okay, this might be a bit of a let-off for Arsenal here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's such a big opportunity, especially for Watkins. And I think last season, he puts it away with his eyes closed.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, Arsenal are going to get something out of this game.
Yeah, you called it. You called it yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, I did. And it's just one of those, you know, you watch football long enough where a team misses a big chance. And even though, like, Aston Villa weren't really under pressure, if you move into the second half, I don't think Arsenal played as well in the second half as they did in the first half. I know they got the 2 goals, but if you go to Watkins' second big chance that he missed, which was arguably easier than the first one.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure which Villa player took the shot that was deflected onto the crossbar. Onana. And Raya was kind of scrambling. He kind of wasn't out of position, but he kind of made an attempt to save that, hit the crossbar. It's fallen back to Watkins, who's kind of 6 yards out. Granted, he had to stoop to head of the ball. But again, it's another one of those things where you just kind of see the ball hitting the back of the net, Villa go 1-0 up, and you think that might be kind of game, set, and match.
Do you think because it was the I'll just get it on target one. Do you think he put it so straight or pretty much down the middle? Because one, the keeper was on the floor, but also because he missed that first chance, he didn't want to take the risk of trying to steer it or direct it to one of the corners in case he missed again. So do you think it was reactive or he chose to head it kind of
No,
pretty
I,
much
I
straight?
think it was quite reactive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think in hindsight, obviously, he would look back and be like, yeah, maybe I should have put
Picked
it
the corner, yeah.
into the corner. But that takes nothing away from the save that Raya made.
Oh.
Like just the reactions to get up from the first attempted save,
Yeah.
to get up and then actually pull off a world class save essentially. Right, it was straight, but just in terms of the reaction.
Oh no, but you still had to get back up and
the reactions to save it were brilliant, and he's kept Arsenal in the game at that point.
yeah.
Before we go on to the Arsenal goals, I just want to talk about Rodgers.
Oh my.
I was not familiar with your game.
He, you know, when everyone was like puzzled or perplexed as to why they sold Douglas Luiz, when I saw that yesterday, I was like, that's why you sold him.
Yeah.
Because that performance, box to box, running, yeah, that was a proper man of the match performance. That I think if they won, he would have got.
Yeah, and someone in one of my WhatsApp groups said that Rodgers was a man of the match. And I was like, he was, but he's not going to get it because they rarely give it to someone on the losing side. But I think Rodgers is another example, along with Adam Wharton, of the talent that you can get down in the Championship. So for those that don't know, Aston Villa signed him from Middlesbrough. And
before that, wasn't he at West Brom? I think he went to Man City, didn't he?
So he started at Man City,
I think it was either West Brom, went Man City, then went to Middlesbrough. Something like that, anyway.
So yeah, there is talent. I've been telling you a lot about the Championship, man. There's talent down there. And kind of what stood out for me was, along with the ball carrying that he had, was the strength.
Yeah.
Because there was a couple times
he just held off Rice.
He held off Rice. He held off Partey.
Held off both of them.
And I was like, rah, this guy's serious. Like he was on job. You know what? I think Carsley was in the stand watching this game. So if you don't know, Lee Carsley is interim England manager while they look for a permanent. I personally think he should get the job, but that's another conversation. I don't think he's done himself any harm in putting himself in the shop window for England. And if you're kind of looking to freshen up England, I think he's someone that you might potentially look at. I know it's only one game. I don't want to get carried away, etc. I'm not saying that he should be in the next England squad, but if he continues in the same vein that he played yesterday, someone should be.
If he gives another performs like that another 5 times, he's getting selected for the next friendly or the next qualifier.
Yeah, and
because you can't ignore that performance. You can't ignore that level of performance.
Those performances to reward, innit? Like, there's no point playing that well for 6 or 7 games and no one recognising it.
Yeah,
you'd like for it to be recognised. But Rodgers, I think he's done his stock no harm after yesterday's performance. Do you want to talk about Arsenal's lineup? So Timber came in for Zinchenko. I think that's pretty much a like for like swap. We know Timber's a good player, but it's hard to kind of judge on what he can do in an Arsenal shirt because it's only like his 3rd competitive game.
But I think it's not, for me, it wasn't a like for like because he's more defensive, resilient. Like, you know, he's stronger, he's more physical, better position, better focus. And I think we would have exercised that option last season if he hadn't got injured.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we learned that when I looked, I was like, Bailey against Zinchenko. And it was like, no, it's Timber against Bailey. So actually, that's quite a good physical matchup.
Yeah. And Martinelli started. Like, we've spoken on this pod about if there was a potential upgrade in the Arsenal team, it might be Martinelli. And I know he's split an opinion across Arsenal fans at the minute. And the fact that Trossard came on and essentially scored with his first touch, I know now there could be a clamouring of Trossard starts against Brighton next week. What's your take on this?
You know what? I think there's two things for me. I was looking at it, and I think sometimes we get caught up in wanting every player to perform outstanding, and sometimes the role of it. Sometimes, uh, if you get a goal, excellent. If you get an assist, excellent. Sometimes we've got to look at actually what he done for the 65 minutes he was on, or 70 minutes, whatever it was. He was constantly running at their fullbacks, at their team. That's exhausting for a defender to keep on being on your toes, being ran at,
Yeah, dragged. Yeah.
dragged every time. Final choices weren't great every time. However, for me, he done his job. You know, he tired out the fullback, and then all it is that Trossard's come on with a little bit more intelligence to say, actually, I'm not coming in as early as you, Martinelli. I'm holding out a little bit. And he was holding his width a little bit longer than what Martinelli was doing. And I think that's his job. I think Martinelli and Trossard kind of gives me a similar, it reminds me of the Aubameyang and Lacazette issue that we used to have when we couldn't play both of them. But one's good at holding up and linking, but the other one's more of a threat guy in behind on goal.
Yeah.
And then we tried to kind of shoehorn them in and play Aubameyang left wing and Lacazette as the focal point. And it worked sometimes and it didn't, etc., etc. So I think right now we've got this issue where, like I said in the past, if we could upgrade, for me it'd be Nico Williams, but you've got one that's really physical, which is Martinelli in terms of his attribute, his strength, his pace. You've got one with a high football IQ and very technical. Yeah. If they were both one, then we wouldn't have a problem. But I think the rotation, and I think it breeds competition. So I think if Trossard's going to be, well, let me go again. And by the fourth game, you might have to start Trossard and give Trossard a run a game. But let's not forget, we've had games where Trossard's played for 4, 5, 6 games back to back, and he's been flattering to deceive. He hasn't. Yeah. He looks like he's better coming on. Like he's analysing the game from the bench. That, all right, that's a pocket I need to pick up here, there.
And he actually said that in the post game interview. He's like, I'm not on the bench on Twitter. He's like, I'm on the bench looking at where I can exploit their weaknesses, etc. So it's interesting.
And I think they put up a stat. I think he's got the second most goals as a sub coming on.
Okay.
Out of the Premier League players, I think him, the Aston Villa striker, the Colombian, and there was one other player. There's 3. I can't remember the third player that was top. But he makes a lot of impact. He got 17 goals all last season in all competitions.
Yeah, it's not a bad return, to be fair.
And I think we just got to let them play it out and work it out. But I think competition, everyone wants competition. Here's the competition.
Yep, so Trossard comes on, scores with his first touch, bit of a muted celebration. People reading into that a little bit too much, I think. But and then Partey wraps up the win with an effort from outside the box. I personally think Martinez should have done better.
100% he should have saved it.
But I was attacked in the group when I said that, and I was like, "Are you lot watching the same game?"
No, so he's like floppy.
Yeah, it's biscuit wrist.
Yeah.
But,
so can we give one shout out to Ben White? Oh, and the reason why I got to give Ben White a shout out for the gamesmanship.
The housery.
The housery. Like, I just started cracking up. When he done what he done to begin, I was busting. I was like, but you know what I liked about that? Even though it seems petty, it's showing we're together. We're a unit.
Yeah.
So you're going to hurt my
100%.
guy. I'm not letting you get away with that. And that's what you need, that togetherness. And Ben White's like, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
You
and
know?
I think that's what one of Arteta's strengths has been. And you can see it, especially the last 2 seasons. The squad really do have a unity around them. There was a moment, it was 2-0. I can't remember who got played through.
I think Morgan Rogers got played through.
And Saliba blocked him. And him, White, and
Gabriel
Rea were all kind of
celebrating,
hyped, like he had scored a goal. You could see how much the clean sheet meant to them, etc. And I know a lot of people were kind of new fans be like, "Oh, that's a bit OTT," but that's what you want from your team, innit? You want your team to be all in it together. They want the clean sheet. Well, if we got a clean sheet bonus, but that's irrelevant. You want them to be, and like just mentioning White. I thought man of the match would have been White, Saliba, or Gabriel. I think Gabriel and Saliba done really well in kind of handling the forward line of Aston Villa. Watkins wanted his best game aside from the misses.
Yeah.
And I think only the kind of small, it wasn't a small error, but the error Gabriel made that created Watkins' his first chance. It was a bit of a tussle. Like it could have gone either way.
Yeah.
But that was the only time he overcommitted for me, like
Yeah.
in the match. And yeah, pains to say, yeah, Arsenal got a really good centre back pair in there.
And I think, and it's really interesting, sorry, about that back line as well. But people are still trying to take credit away from Raya and actually not realizing Raya and the back line both complement each other.
Yeah,
Like, so I'm hearing some people, oh yeah, but Raya's got the clean sheets because of the centre backs and Ben White, rather than the team's got the clean sheet because of the back four, the back five.
yeah,
Because them as a unit, they got a real chemistry and they understand each other.
yeah.
And
And
actually,
you'll be talking to each other in it. Like I've played in goal. Like you talk, I've played in goal and centre back. You talk to each other
all the
and
time.
that helps, like the dynamic of
You,
the back five, as you say.
and then what helps then if they do get past the defense, you got a goalkeeper that can stand up and make saves. And that's what Raya done for
Yeah.
us.
And it's a goalkeeper that they're confident in.
Yeah.
Where there are times when Ramsdale was the number one, where the fans are not confident, and
Yeah.
the fans are confident now, and that kind of breathes onto the pitch sometimes. So like when the ball's played back, they're like, whoa, like, and the away fans can pick up in it. You know what I mean? And yeah, if you're centre back or even your defence as a whole have confidence and belief in the goalkeeper,
Yeah.
it just makes everyone's job in that whole back line a lot
Yeah,
easier.
definitely. And I think, again, they spoke about it, it's justified in signing him.
Yeah,
Like, it's 100% justified. The clean
Yeah.
sheet says for itself. And then the saves last week against Wolves and the saves this week. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought White, Saliba, or Gabriel would have got man of the match, but giving it to Raya for those saves. Is your squad big enough to win the league?
Yeah. I think sometimes we make so much of, people talk about this player for player, 25 starters. It's not real.
It's not realistic.
It's not
is it?
realistic. 25 starters. It's like some people go on about Man City, and actually this is mostly Man City's, in terms of bench and starters, I feel is their weakest
Oh, in a long while.
in
Yeah.
the longest while. People, I'm saying, who comes on for Rodri? Are we looking at Calvin Phillips? Because
Or he's at Ipswich now. So.
well, this is so Calvin Phillips. Then you're saying that, don't get me wrong, Rico Lewis is good, but does he have the same positive or the same attributes as Carl Walker? They play very different, and he's good, don't get me wrong. But if you're talking about physical recovery speed,
Yeah.
you can't talk to Walker. One-on-one duels,
Yeah. Very
I don't think you can talk to Walker. Don't get me wrong. They've got a very good system. They've got very good players. But they haven't got Riyad Mahrez anymore. They haven't got Sane, Sterling, Aguero, Alvarez.
Yeah.
So, but they've got a very good system and they've still got very good players. And that Savinho guy looks very good. But I do believe when I'm looking at the squad, we've got a very good squad. Because now, all right, Jesus was injured. Hopefully it's not too long. I'm hearing 4 to 8 weeks. But you got Jesus, Trossard.
So I would say your squad is decent. Like I don't think it's like the best squad, but I would say the only gap between player would be Saka and Reece Nelson. Like I think that drop off is too far, and hopefully you don't become too dependent on Saka.
But I spoke about this before, and Saka's the equivalent. I'm not saying he's as good as these guys, but he's our Messi. He's our Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
He's
your guy, innit? Like he's the guy.
He's our guy that he's gonna play 98% of the time, and he's gonna play 80 minutes plus 9 times out of 10. He's the go-to. Even though yesterday people saying that was a quiet game for him yesterday, he popped up with the assist, and he was the one that cut the ball back that caused the disruption for the first goal. There's always some level of impact, and what he's doing now, that's much different. He's turning on when, like, he's managing it. He's like, I'm going to step up my levels now.
Yeah.
I'm going to...
It's not 100% in it. Like,
he's like, I'm playing at this level. All right, we need a goal now. So now I'm going to start turning and twisting the knives and seeing what I can do. And that's it. So when you talk about drop off between him and Reece Nelson, I don't think that's truly relevant per se, because
you think he could have done enough.
He can play enough,
game.
but also we've got enough quality to cover him for 2-3 games. Now, if he's out for the season, that's a different situation.
Yeah.
If it's a 3-week injury or a month injury,
and
depending on where it falls in the season, because you might only end up playing 2 games,
yeah,
Jesus can play right, Martinelli can play right,
Yeah, I
And
was going
so
to say, would you play Trossard or Martinelli on the right as
most
a different
most
option?
definitely, yeah. So and then we're also forgetting the next the next stars, Ethan Ranieri.
Yeah,
When are we going to start looking at him? So I hear fans saying, "Oh, bring in this player." What about the pass for those guys?
yeah,
Do you understand? So I think the squad's strong enough. It might, for me, just lacks maybe a wide forward. We've got the other centre mid now. But who's that wide forward? And if it's not Nico Williams,
yeah. And I think you don't want to buy a player just for the sake of
that's it.
buying a player.
And
So,
Lukeman and Adengra. Don't get me wrong, I like Adengra and Lukeman.
you know what? We'll touch on Sterling later.
Yeah.
Sterling wouldn't be.
Well,
I know wages would be an issue, but boy,
let's
Sterling
see.
would do a job. So yeah, Arsenal. Go to Villa Park, get the monkey off their back, and come away with a 2-0 win.
Another clean sheet.
Yeah, clean sheet. Right, Brighton 2, Man United 1. That guy Welbs.
He loves them, don't he? He loves scoring against his own
That
team,
guy
boy.
Welbs. So yeah, I watched this game and it was cagey. It was like Man United looked okay.
Yeah.
They weren't brilliant. Brighton always in the game. And ultimately, I don't think a draw would have been like an unfair result.
Yeah.
For both of these teams, but yeah, Man United just look like they're lacking something. So John mentioned it last week that they started with Bruno and Mount,
Yeah.
and after his goal against who did they play? Fulham.
Yeah. Xerxes.
I thought Xerxes would have started.
Yeah.
Because the debut at Old Trafford, confidence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're gonna be bouncing and training all week,
Yeah.
ready for the game on Saturday. And maybe because it was an away game, he thought, right, let me stick to the team that kind of got us over the line the week before. And yeah, he kind of went unchanged, which I was a little bit surprised with. Were you surprised that he done that, or are you kind of thinking like same team got the result? Yeah.
No, I was surprised because I thought Xerxes. It's not like Xerxes only just turned up. He's been there for about 5 weeks now.
Yeah, like most of pre-season.
So he knows the system, the patterns of play that you're trying to create. And this is the problem that this is self-inflicted by Eric Ten Hag now. Because, like you said, I was looking at the team. You got a striker, but you're keeping him on the bench. You're trying to do this false nine system. And it's working to some extent, but then you lose. And now everyone's going to look at the system. So they're looking at you to blame. Well, why are you taking off Harry Maguire for Delete? Like,
with 10 minutes to go.
10 minutes to go. Like, so these things, these are self-inflicted questions now. Like, and actually, like you said, they didn't play bad. It was a bit toe for toe. But actually, there was some positives. There's still some tweaking to do and work to do. But then you're making people ask questions of you again because of the decisions that don't look credible and logical to everyone else. You've got a striker, but you keep him on the bench to play the false nine system. So overall, I think they're moving in the right direction. I think the thing that I'm laugh at when I do laugh at my when I am laughing at United fans, should I say, is the rhetoric that they created. We got to give him another chance because he won the cup. He's got more trophies than everyone else except for Pep. And half the team was injured last season, so now he's got the full team. Let's give him a chance. I believe in him. And now you're gonna hear half of them saying he needs to be sacked. This is why I don't like him, etc., etc.
Essentially, the cups were paper and cracks.
100%.
You can, outside looking in, you can see there is just something fundamentally missing with that United setup.
Yeah,
that they just don't look cohesive, and they haven't really done so since he's been there.
Yeah.
And granted, you can win the cup, but I think you've got to kind of look at their league form and their league results.
Yeah.
And he's broken numerous kind of unwanted records since he's been there. So I was very surprised that that he got that extension.
But then I think the reality sometimes we've got to look at is actually it's a project and they're in they're actually in transition. Like they've got to get new players in, they've got to get old players out. Some of the players that they kept on for too long, they're paying them too much, so they're hard to get rid of. It's very reminiscent of what Arsenal was in that situation. We had loads of players that weren't really good enough, but on 100 odd K a week, and we can't get rid of them.
Yeah, they have to play.
And that's where they're at right now. But I see improvements. But is it going to be enough for him to keep the job?
Yeah, we'll see. So yeah, Brighton went 1-0 up. Danny Welbeck coming back to haunt his former club.
Keeps on doing it.
I think he holds the record for the most goals by ex-Man United player against Man United. So yeah, he scores quite a lot. Rashford had a goal disallowed kind of a couple minutes after Brighton took the lead. It was kind of just offside, but rightly ruled out. I think we need the semi-automated VAR in as soon as possible. I believe it's coming in after the September international break.
Okay.
For the life of me, I don't know why it wasn't ready at the start of the season, because it was announced in the summer that it was happening. So I'm not sure why it's not ready yet. So yeah, Brighton go in. What am I saying? Yeah, Brighton go into at half time 1-0 up. But then Diallo scores a goal, picks it up on the right hand side. And what I quite like about Ahmad, he's very direct.
Yeah.
And he was on loan at Sunderland, not last season, the season before.
Yeah.
Had a really good season at Sunderland. And I think a lot of Man United fans, and even myself, thought when he gets back to United, he's going to be given a chance just based on how he was in the Championship. I know it's a bit of a step up, but we've seen a few players do it, kind of like Tammy Abraham done it, Mount done it. A few players have done it. But last season, Ten Hag was so insistent with Anthony and Rashford and Garnacho, more on the Anthony side. And he kind of got frozen out until the latter part of the season, which I found quite surprising. But when he did play, you could see what he had about him. Pre-season, you could see, and he started the season in a pretty good, rich vein of form. So yeah, his shot was deflected in off, I think it was Hinchwood. And yeah, the game's 1-1, and you think the ascendancy with Man United here, they might just go on and win it, and then they have a goal disallowed 10 minutes later. Was it a bad finish by Garnacho? Should he have kind of got a better contact on it so Zertsky wasn't in the way? Was Zertsky right to be trying to follow it up as a striker? Like, it's just... So, yeah, for those that haven't seen it, the ball breaks into the box for Garnacho. He shoots, and Zertsky's kind of sliding in, and as he's slid in, the ball's hit his knee just as he's reached the goal line.
I think you described it a bit wrong, because who crossed it? Was it Bruno Fernandes? Who crossed it? It was crossed by either, I think it was Bruno.
Yeah.
Xerxes slid in and he's missed it and it's gone to the back post where Garnacho is. And then
he's carried on sliding.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then Garnacho shot. And then as he's like getting up, he bounced off the knee and went in. It was uncontrollable. He couldn't do anything about it, to be fair.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, it's quite funny because they sparked the wild celebrations, thinking they've gone 2-1 up, but yeah, it was VAR ruled it out for offside. Referee couldn't really see it on the pitch. So we kind of get to like the 90th minute injury time. But before that, just going back to what you said, just kind of strange substitution. So in the 79th minute, Ten Hag takes off Fernandes for McTominay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Like, understandable sub. But he also takes off Harry Maguire
who's actually having a decent game.
For De Ligt. And you could say, oh, was he injured? Does he need to come off? Didn't look like he was injured. It just looked like a tactical sub. Like, he's like,
fitness.
Maybe fitness. And like, we're not managers in it. We're not managers in the Premier League level, but it's very rare that you would substitute one of your centre backs with 10 minutes to go in a game that's not kind of
resolved.
Yeah, it's not shoring up. So that happens, and then we get to like the 90th minute, added time being played. Bit of ping pong in the box, and the ball breaks to Adingra on the left hand side of the box, who floats a ball over to the back post, and astonishingly,
Which was unmarked.
there's three
Brighton
Brighton
players
players unmarked
waited.
at the back post, and João Pedro in my fantasy team, so big him up. Headers the winner in the 95th minute, and I've seen several stills of that situation where the ball is being crossed in, and it's just like it's very amateurish in terms of like when my son plays Sunday League football.
Like everyone just gravitates to the ball.
Everyone rushes to the ball. It's like every Man United defender
Was
was moving towards the ball,
no
and
one
you
checked
kind of
over the
forgot
shoulder.
about, like positional awareness and who they should be marking. And it was just it's like Ten Hag. I'm surprised if I doubt they would have been in training today because they travelled from Brighton. But tomorrow in training, like I'm sure he'll be going absolutely ballistic at that. It was just so amateurish and just so.
And that's not even the manager's fault. That's
that's on the players.
That's all on the players. Like
that's on the players.
They were all looking at I had some fans saying it was McTominay's fault because he was marking whoever was up front and he should have been at the back post. And I'm like, well, no.
Yeah, but you got to think. Where's your left back? Where are your two centre backs?
We just centre mids.
Your right back's in the right place because he closed down the guy trying to cross it. But it's one of those things like if Harry Maguire was on the pitch,
would he have given instructions?
Yeah, this is what I'm about to say. Would there have been a bit more kind of situational organisation and awareness about or he might have just he loves a header. He might have been there to
win it
and get it out. So I think going forward, if he's going to play a partnership of De Ligt and Martinez, maybe that's something that they need to
work on.
And
maybe the reason why there was a language barrier. Like De Ligt could, like he might be able to speak English, but there might be a small communication.
Yeah, that's true. I saw a stat that Ten Hag hasn't won his opening 2 games. Since the third season on the spin. Do you think it's going to be much of a muchness for Man United this season in terms of their league form?
I think there's going to be a small improvement because they bought some better quality players. And I think he's sticking out a system. So what I mean by that, in the past he would have put Rashford up front. He said, no, you're playing as a wide forward, left or right.
Well, I heard Rashford said, I'm not playing through the middle. I play left or I don't play kind of thing. Okay.
Well, if that's true, but he's keeping to his system. And the only thing he's trying to work out is how to get Bruno and Mount in.
One of them's got to go.
One's got to sit on the bench. And
to be fair, Liverpool are playing them next game. So if he wants to play Bruno and Mount together, let him run it. But in the long run,
I think there's going to be a small improvement. I think the problem is we haven't seen enough of Xerxes to say, is he going to be the guy that gets him the 15 plus goals? And is there enough goals? We know Rashford can score goals. Is he going to turn up and score goals? So for me right now, I've got United. If I was predicting the table, they're battling for 6th. And they might squeeze in at 5th.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think there's 2... You said they signed improvements. I'm not 100% sure. Like the right back, what's his name?
Is it Matsuri?
Yeah, Mazzari. I don't know much about him, but Wan-Bissaka was quite solid for them. You know what I mean? Sure.
I think the problem, as we know, Wan-Bissaka is like him in the final third. His decision making in the final third of passes
going forward. But I've heard good things about him, so he might be an improvement. Is Xerxes an improvement on Højlund? We don't know. Like, will we ever see them together? I don't know. Like, is Xerxes like an out and out 9? Like, I'm not too sure. De Ligt, the jury's out. Like, I was backing him up on a couple episodes ago. I think he's a fairly decent player, but is he what they need kind
Yeah.
of thing? Is he that commanding centre back that they haven't had for
Yeah.
a very a very long time? So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where Manchester United land, especially like I say, they've got Liverpool in their next game, so it will be that'll be a bit of a test for them to kind of see where their team is
Yeah.
at. Right, moving on to Spurs v Everton. So yeah, this is the game that I watched on Saturday out of 3 o'clock. So I just thought it'd be an interesting game to observe. And Everton were poor. Like that's the only way I can sum it up. Like they couldn't get out of their half in the first half. It was just pedestrian. There were like players making mistakes.
Yeah.
It was just so bad. And considering how flat they were at home against Brighton
yeah.
at the opening day of the season, you thought, right, let me kind of, have a bit of credibility about
What we're doing.
But looking at their team, and I'm just like, it's all right.
Mm-hmm.
It's not great. Like Pickford, you got England's #1 goalkeeper.
Awful mistake by him, by the way. But
Yeah, we'll come on to that. Your centre back pairings, Tarkowski and Keane, championship level. They still got Idris Gay,
who's their fullbacks?
Mikolenko, and a guy called Dixon. So I think he's a youth player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Everton youth
Centre
player.
mid, Decore.
Yeah, so
Idris Gay.
it's
Dwight McNeil. Who's on the right for them now?
So McNeil, Decore, Harrison, and then Calvert-Lewin up front. And they're all kind of players who have had glimpses in the past in the Premier League.
But it's
it just,
the level.
Yeah, like they're...
I think Everton's going to stay up because the teams that have been promoted are not good enough. Like, they just haven't got that enough quality. I think they're going to show enough football, but that final quality, I don't think they're going to be able to get over the line.
I don't know, Like, if they went down, I would not be surprised at all. They've been flirting for the last 2 or 3 seasons.
They have, but
and you can only be knocking on the door so many times before they're gonna let you in.
I think if it was the current Everton with who came up, like the Nottingham Forest, Luton, and I don't know. I think they just got enough to avoid it. They're going to be around it. But what, last season, if they hadn't had the points deduction, they would have came. Is it 10th, 9th? I think.
I don't think it would have been that high, but they would have been clear of the relegation zone. But yeah, I just think I don't think they've got better from last season.
I remember what I was saying last season. They're all championship players. I think they've just got enough quality to stay up. But the media needs to let go of Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin had his peak.
Yeah,
that little, he's done. He's back to 5 goals a season. Like, that's who he is. Unfortunately, they're going to talk about injuries and setups, and that's what he is now. They haven't got enough goals in their game. I think they scored 5 more than Sheffield United last season.
Mate, since Haaland arrived, I think he scored 7 more goals than them in totality. Since he's arrived, which is
it's not enough goals.
Which is bonkers.
And then they got rid of who? Gray, Lukeman.
Yeah. So if we just go to the goals. So Kulusevski set up Basuma. He was back in the team after his little indiscretion. Can't believe he done that, but got it. Yeah, back in the team. First goal for Spurs, and it was a good finish off the crossbar. And then Pickford receives a pass off one of his defenders, miscontrols it, and Son
just nicked it off of
him. Nicked it off him for his first goal of the season. And 2-0 down at half time, you just know that they're not gonna do anything. They're not gonna get back into the game. I think they only had 1 shot on target, and that was in the second half.
Yeah.
And then Romero scored a thumping header from a Maddison corner.
Yeah.
In the 71st minute, and then they wrapped it up with Van der Ven, who was allowed to pick the ball up on the edge of his box, run all the way to the edge of the Everton box, pass it off to Son, who put it in the net to make it.
And even
4-0.
that one, I think Pickford should have saved that. The way he came out, it was bad.
Weird,
it was poor. His legs were open. He was straight.
A weird angle. Well, what are we saying about Tottenham? Like, first half against Leicester last week, when they drew 1-1,
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were really good. Like, and I thought Leicester were in trouble, but it just seemed like they fatigued a little bit in the second half. And it happened if you don't take your chances in matches, as we saw with Aston Villa yesterday. There's always the opportunity for the team to come back and bite you with that.
I think there's still some. I got question marks over Romero as a centre back. Even there's some. I think people get caught up in the pace of Van der Ven. Again, I think there's still some questions for me about his quality as a centre back.
Right.
Sorry. Centre mids. There's still some work around centre midfield. But they're going in the right. They got patterns of play. They've got a formation. They've got an idea. I think they're just going to be let down with the likes of the host, John's favourite player, Timo Werner.
But I think he's there as a squad player in my eyes. And I think
100%.
He's an upgrade on kind of the squad players that they've had previously.
Who's he an upgrade on? There's better players that they could have went out in the market and got. Like, not being fun, I think they got a youngster that's on the same level as him, that they could, if they worked with him and promoted him.
They're not rating him either. Fair enough.
Is it Brennan or Brennan Johnson?
Brennan Johnson.
Again.
Yeah. And he was signed for big money, so he's got a lot to prove.
Who else you got? And then I think Solanke will come good, and I think they've pushed on. Then you got Richarlison.
Yeah,
again.
And they got who's the kid? Odebert? Who's they signing from? Yeah, French kid.
Is he centre mid?
No, he played wide left. Yesterday, it looks like he came from Burnley. Yeah.
But I think the issues is the middle of the park. I think he's made Basuma look good again. And I mean, remember the potential that when Basuma came, we thought, oh my gosh, and then he had that bad season, and now he's getting a tune out of Basuma, and you're like, okay, he's gonna be a player, but who's around him to help him?
Yeah, it was interesting. Like, he played Kulusevski in the middle three yesterday rather than wide right. So yeah, I think Tottenham will be in the mix for top four, like that fourth spot.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think they will.
I think the top four is the same as last season.
I want to say it is, but I don't know how Aston Villa are going to handle. If it was the old Champions League format, I might say Villa could handle both. But we'll talk about the new Champions League format.
And it starts.
Closer to Champions League starting. But I think the new format of playing 8 different teams.
4 away, 4 home.
4 away, 4 home. Like, you could have the luxury of winning 3 games and then kind of chilling a little bit. Or winning 3 and drawing 1 and being like, we're going to qualify. Now you got to go out and play like potentially all 8 games. Like, you might not be able to rest. So
I think we're forgetting that Emery's seasoned in European football, and he's a tactical master. Like, I think that was the issue with him and Arsenal, was that he set up Arsenal to play against the opposition rather than I play this way and you got to break us down. Yeah, like what Pep does, what Klopp done, what Arteta does, and they might do little fine tweaks within it, but you're coming to break down our system, not we're creating a system to play against your system, home or away. And I think that works for Aston Villa. I'm going to create a system, and the players, they work with it. So yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, I think they'll be in the mix. I think they'll be there or thereabouts. And they haven't got Europe this season, I don't think. So yeah, that's
a bonus.
That's a bonus, isn't it? So
I think they're battling for 5th.
With Man United.
Man United 6th. Yeah, 5th and 6th. So yeah.
So saying that, you don't think Chelsea are going to make the top 6? Or are they going to be battling?
They're my outsiders, but other than
what, for 4th or?
For 4th.
Fair enough. So yeah, speaking of Chelsea, they went to Wolves today. Did you see Madueke's? No, his Instagram post.
No, I missed it.
So last night he was like along the lines of Wolves is not a very nice place, but he used a different word.
Yeah.
So he's getting a bit of pelters from the Wolves fans
Yeah.
before the game, and he walked away with a hat trick.
Yeah.
So you might not like it there, but they treated him very nice. So for those of you that don't know, Chelsea went to Molineux, ended up winning 6-2, which would have been a bit of a surprise at half time, considering it was 2-2. Jackson headed Chelsea into the lead in the second minute, got an early goal, and then Cunha equalised in the 27th minute. And then Palmer put Chelsea 2-1 up in the 45th minute. And then Larson equalised in the 6 minutes of added time and at the end of the first half to make it 2-2. And you think, bit of a ding dong game.
Yeah.
Kind of it might stay that way for the rest of the game. But Madueke turned up and scored a 14-minute hat trick. All the goals were assisted by Palmer. All came from the right hand side.
Yeah.
What do you make of Madueke?
Really interesting. I think he showed signs last season that he's a dangerous player. He poses a big threat. Didn't he score midweek as well in the European?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he scored second. Yeah.
So he's on form at the moment. So that's what 4-2.
Yeah.
So 4-2. I think he had a decent preseason as well. He's fast. He's strong. A bit unpredictable. And I think he's knocking on the door to say, but then that's the problem for them. Well, the squad. So then, if he's gonna pick Neto over him, he's gonna say, "Well, hold on, I've scored 4-2. Like,
why are you not playing me?
Why are you not playing me?" So it's, but yeah, I think he's good. I think he's shown signs of being a very dangerous player, and I think once he gets a little bit more rhythm, he could be a very good Premiership player.
Yeah, definitely. And Felix scored the 6th goal with his second debut for Chelsea to make it 6-2. If you look at their lineup, because obviously they've got like a plethora of players to choose from. So I know Lavia I think they said he had like a tight hamstring or something. They didn't want to risk it today. So it was Caicedo and Enzo in the midfield too. And we know that hasn't always worked. So it's interesting that he went with that. I say interesting.
Enzo's the captain, remember?
It's a £200 million midfield.
Yeah, it's got to work. And Enzo's the captain.
Yeah, that's true. Surprisingly, Mudryk started. So even though they've got Neto, they got Felix. Mudryk started. Palmer behind Jackson, Madueke on the right. And you had Gusto, Fofana, Colwell, and Cucurella, which might be looks like that's their preferred defence, to be honest.
Who's in goal?
Sanchez still in goal. They need to upgrade on him. But to be fair, they might have one because they got so many goalkeepers in the squad.
Kepa's back, right, as well.
Yeah, Kepa's back, but he's one of the players who's been told he can leave. So whether he's still there after Friday or not, we'll see. But I think Cucurella, like he's eating his Weetabix in the last kind of 3 or 4 months.
Yeah,
because towards the back end of the last season,
he
picked up form. The Euros, one of the best players in the Euros, and I think even though they lost against Man City, he played really, really well against Doku.
Yeah,
Doku had to go back on his side, and he handled Silvinho okay, and apparently he played pretty well again today. So he might be one to look out for. Maybe get snapped up and go over to play for someone in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
But Chelsea it's a weird one. Like they've been ridiculed about kind of spending all this money and all these players, etc. But they've obviously brought quality players. Like there's not many of the players that they signed that you're like, who? You might be like, why have they signed them?
Mm-hmm.
But you're not like, who are they?
Yeah.
What are they about?
Because they're all about potential.
They're all about potential, and they can do something. So if Maresca gets it right on the training pitch, gets them gelling,
Yeah.
do you still think that 5th, 6th is their ceiling?
And the reason why I say 5th, 6th is their ceiling is with the outside chance of 4th, but why I say it's their ceiling, 1, the goalkeeper, and 2, I think the centre-back pairings are not good enough. Fofana's untested, but he doesn't seem like, even in the couple preseason highlights of a couple of things I did, and then the goals against City, he doesn't look like he's fully controlling that area and etc.
Yeah.
And he came back from a serious injury, so that's to be expected. I think that's their issue, is the centre backs and the goalkeeper, and depending on the midfield combination. In terms of if it's Enzo and Calcedo against a better, more well-oiled central midfield opposition, how they get on. So even a great result for them today. They took their chances really well. I think sometimes, as playing football, sometimes winning those score lines don't actually help, because it can kind of give you like a false fallacy of where you're at, and you're not actually there, and then you come to a really organised team.
Yeah.
And then you get boom back down to earth. However, it's a marker, and some teams are going to be looking, and some teams are going to be a bit, let's see what they're going to be a bit fearful of them. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with the centre back pairing. I think Colwill last season, for some reason, he was played at left back more than he should have been, in my eyes, anyway. I think that kind of knocked his confidence a little bit, because he's not a left back.
No.
Like, he went to Brighton, had that really good season as a centre back. When he's playing for the England under-21s, he's playing as a centre back, and he's now playing as a centre back now. So it'll be interesting to see if he can kind of get back to the level that people thought he was.
Yeah.
And it'd be interesting to see who's the lead centre back. Like, I know Fofana's the oldest centre back, but he doesn't give me lead centre back vibes. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it'd be interesting, like you say, it'd be interesting to see how they do. And then I guess if they can keep Nkunku fit, how he rotates with Jackson playing through the middle. Because I think if you've got now Madueke, Neto, Felix, don't really want Nkunku playing wide and competing with those guys. You want to essentially be competing with Jackson for that number 9 position. So.
And I think that's why they might actually only finish 5th or 6th, because of the rotation.
Because there's not going to be a heavy rotation.
There's going to be a heavy rotation. Like, we know Palmer's going to start, and we know like Calcedo, Enzo, but the rest of them, because of the heavy rotation, that might be the reason why that they end up finishing, because there's not a kind of chemistry that's being formed with those main front 3 or front 4. So yeah,
and that's kind of, if you look at the successful teams over the years, you've kind of had a core front 3, haven't you?
Yeah.
The rotation might work, because like we say, they're all good players. Like Neto coming in for Woodrick, like he's gonna do a job.
Yeah,
and Nkunku coming in for Jackson, gonna do a job. But again, it's the whole chemistry. But yeah, a really good win for Chelsea, considering they lost their opening home game. Move on to Anfield today. Liverpool 2, Brentford 0. I watched that before we started recording today. Atmosphere was hype, Slot's first game at Anfield. Going into a game at Anfield, I'm always kind of expecting Liverpool to win, regardless who's the manager, what kind of personnel are put out. And Liverpool started really well on the front foot. Gravenberch was playing in the 6 again.
Yeah.
Had a really good game. So it was him, Szoboszlai, and McAllister. I think all 3 of them had a good game. Szoboszlai doing his running, need the legs. McAllister, kind of the controlled person in the midfield. Quansah came in. Sorry, Konate came in for Quansah. We know don't want to say incident, but
But the tactical change and
the change that happened at Portman Road last week. And Jota started ahead of Nunes again today. And yeah, like I say, it was quite controlled. The goal that Liverpool scored, the first one, was bizarrely very reminiscent of a Klopp goal.
Yeah,
it was
just
a
break.
counter-attacking break. So Brentford had a corner, cleared by Liverpool. Salah waiting for a challenge with a Brentford defender, edge of the box. All broke to Jota, who carried it, played it through to Diaz, took a couple of touches and just kind of slotted it into the top corner.
Fantasy points for me.
Everyone's thinking about fantasy nowadays, man. It's too much stress. And then the game, I wouldn't say it petered out, but Liverpool just kind of kept the ball. And I think under Klopp, when we had the ball, we were always looking for
goal
on the front foot, get that ball forward. Where now, it kind of seems where Klopp slot has said, I don't mind keeping the ball and passing it around the defence a little bit, passing it around the midfield until we get that opportunity. Yeah. And that's not to say that we're not looking for those long balls over the top, etc.
But it's got to be the right moment.
Yeah, it just looks a little bit more controlled. So yeah, 1-0 at half time. Going into the start of the second half, Brentford got their tails up a little bit. They had an opportunity from a corner where Alisson pulled off a good save. And Wissa and Mbeumo, they're always going to run. Like we said before we started recording, like they're two players that are going to be active, and unless your defence is on job, as we saw last week when they played Crystal Palace, they're going to be buzzing around. Yeah. And I think Van Dijk and Konate done really well to handle them today. And yeah, the game was kind of essentially finished when Mo Salah scored in the 70th minute, set up by Luis Diaz. And yeah, Liverpool walk away with all 3 points. So a bit similar to Arsenal, 2 games, 2-0 wins, no goals conceded. And he's actually started better than Klopp did last season. So people are asking, are Liverpool in a title race? Can Klopp be in a title race in his first season? Only team that haven't signed anyone. There's a lot of oohs and ahs and what's going on. Me, I'm a very cautious and reserved Liverpool fan, so I might not be the best person to kind of talk about this. But for me, it seems like Slaughter's come in and he's assessed the squad, and he hasn't been like, right, we need open heart surgery here.
Yeah.
I think he's thought, right, maybe we could do with maybe 1 or 2 additions.
But they've got to be the right ones.
But they've got to be the right ones. Went for Zubimendi. We saw how that played out. We didn't get him. And it seems like they're just not going to go out and get just
anyone for the sake of it.
Just anyone for the sake of it. Like, there's no point in that. It's not fair on the squad that's there. It's not fair on the player that you bring in. If that's not what the manager wants. And we got to remember, like, he wasn't left a bad squad.
Yeah.
Like, this squad challenged until April last year. There was a few injuries within that squad that challenged till April last year.
Yeah.
He's essentially got a fully fit squad at the minute, which Klopp didn't have for months and months of last season. So I think he sees like he's in a good position. And he even said in his press conference, like, this is, like, I trust everyone here. And I think that will breed a lot of confidence into the players in the squad. From what I've seen, I think we could potentially mount a title challenge. I think going away to Man United next week will be a bit of a test. If we can leave there with 3 points, because we drew there last season, they beat us the season before at Old Trafford. If we can come away with 3 points there, it looks like we're stepping in the right direction. And it's only kind of 3 games in, like, but I've seen enough patterns of play. Word phrase you like to throw around. I've seen enough in the say if the players can stay fit, perform to the level that we know they can, there's no reason why we can't be in a title race.
And I think because you was in one last season as well, and just based on injuries and stuff, you dropped off. And I think that's what it is. Can Jota stay fit? Like, that's a key. Can Jota stay fit? Um, can Gravenberch manage the amount of games that it looked like he's kind of projected to play, in the sense of now he's the six, and what that looks like. But I also feel that slot will rotate at the right moment. So I think it's just around staying fit, key players staying fit, should I say, for the
Yeah.
system, and individuals' performances. Because like Szoboszlai dropped off for you last season, but that could just mean it's his first season, and we might see him maintain a good level this year. And then yeah, like the centre back pairing, if he's gonna stick with Konate and Virgil,
Yeah.
or is he gonna mix up a little bit? So I think you've got a good first 11. And I think your options off the bench are interesting in terms of Nunes and Gakpo.
Yeah, like Nunes, Gakpo, Elliot, Endo, Conor Bradley. He came on for
Yeah, Conor Bradley's good.
for Trent today. Trent didn't look happy with coming off.
You know, I want to see do well for you, not Curtis Jones.
Yeah,
I think there's a player there. He just doesn't seem to have the rub of the green. I think there's a really good player there.
Yeah,
a really good player. I think, and from what he's saying, if he gets the chance, I think he will be a real,
because he said
really effective.
He likes Slot's method. Like for me, I would like to see another centre back come in. Like wish list, I'd say centre back, left back, and a midfielder. But if that doesn't happen, I'm not gonna kick up a fuss. Like it is what it is, isn't it? Like it's football, man.
Do you think right now? Do you think there's two things here? Do you think it's actual quality out there, and then the quality that is there, value for money? Do you understand what I'm saying? So
I think it's the value for money thing, and I think that's across
everyone,
the market as a whole. Like,
yeah, it's been quiet
in football. Like how Man United let Wan-Bissaka go for 15 million. I'm astounded because you don't really see those figures from Premiership to Premiership teams anymore, especially for someone who's been a mainstay in the Premiership for what he was at United for 5 seasons. Yeah, two good seasons at Palace.
Yeah,
like those, how that deal would go around, I have no idea. But just as a general kind of market value, to get a player that you want and that you think will perform for your team, the money's being banded around. It's crazy, and it's a bit of a risk as well, isn't it? It's like, look, like let's take Neto for example. We all know he's a talented player.
Yeah,
if he stays fit, he could potentially do really well for Chelsea. Yeah. But they paid like 65 million for someone who's done the ACL twice.
Yeah,
it's like that's mental. You know what I
mean? And like you said, I think the other thing is like the other day there was a list of all the 100 plus or 90 plus players.
Yeah.
And
how many were a success?
And at the moment, you could only.
It's debatable.
It's debatable. You can say Rice, but he hasn't won anything.
Yeah, so Rice has done well. Was that the one with Mbappe and that one?
No, I think it was just Premiership players.
Just Premiership one. Rice. And like you say, he hasn't won anything. So you're just saying that based on like a good team performance that he was in.
And then the other one was the European one.
Yeah.
And it was only technically CR7 because at Juve,
he won the league at Juventus. You could say Mbappe because he won so many leagues, but they didn't really win the Champions League, etc. Neymar, again, he won the league a few times, but didn't win in the Champions League. Yeah, I think the value versus kind of the quality that is out there in the market makes it very hard for teams to kind of sign the right players. And I think that's why you're seeing like the bigger teams, especially in the Premier League, not going out and splashing the cash as much as they used to.
Yeah.
The market's just a mess, basically. That's the long and short of it. The market's a mess, but we created a monster in it.
Yeah. How many 50 mil and 60 mil.
How many times has the Premier League in a transfer window it's been billions,
Yeah.
and you go to kind of Spain or Italy, and they spent like half of that.
Yeah.
So
We're starting to look like how Italy, like with the interchanging players for 20 mil and 15 mil, it's starting to kind of pick up that kind of pattern, that rhythm
yeah,
of transfers now. So we'll see.
yeah. So yeah, Liverpool win 2-0. I say they go to Old Trafford in the last round of games before the international break. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Slot gets on there. Yeah, so let's just round off the rest of the fixtures. So Manchester City 4, Ipswich 1. Ipswich took everyone by surprise by going 1-0 up.
Again, you called it. Did you put
Yeah.
a bet down on that score?
I should have. I called it in our group. I was like, when I saw that Ipswich went 1-0 up, I was like, oh, they're
4-1.
going to lose 4-1. And it turned out to be 4-1. And the thing that's frustrating is goalkeeping errors. It was just, if you just stay composed, like you've just come up from the Championship, the first game's against Liverpool, granted, fine. You go to the Etihad, you go 1-0 up, you just want everyone to be calm. And granted, like the first one was a penalty. Like he legitimately went for the ball.
Yeah.
Like it just happened. But then like the keeper was just all over the place for I think it was Haaland's second one.
Yeah.
And then there was an error for De Bruyne to get in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, Haaland scores a hat trick. It's his 10th hat trick in two and a bit seasons for Manchester City. If you're like me and tried to be a bit of a hipster and didn't put him in your fantasy team, yeah, bad call. But it was kind of inevitable that they were gonna win. It was good to see Silvino's injury wasn't too bad from when he came off.
Yes.
First game of the season, and he looked really lively as well. Rico Lewis played ahead of Carl Walker again, and he looked good. He should have scored. He hit the crossbar from like 7 yards out when it was an open goal, and De Bruyne actually hit the crossbar as well. Gundogan came back for his second debut. Just imagine just being able to go and get Gundogan like again. It's just crazy, isn't it? Like obviously he got the allegiance with Man City and stuff, but it just doesn't seem fair. But credit to Ipswich, second half they kind of tightened up a little bit. They only conceded one goal in the second half, and I don't think they'll be. I think they might go down, but I don't think they're gonna go down with a whimper.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think they'll be okay. Crystal Palace 0, West Ham 2. Surprised me this one.
Why?
Just because it looked like Crystal Palace were kind of putting a little project together. Back end of last season, they look good. I know they
sold 2 key players now, haven't they?
Yeah, like I know they didn't get the points last week against Brentford, but they looked well.
They still look good, but when you're losing Elise and Anderson,
Anderson, I was surprised at, to be honest.
But you know, he was really impressive in that game, and I liked him at Wolves. Kilman,
yeah,
Kilman,
good
and
signing.
Your favorite player, Bowen.
I got nothing against Bowen, man. I got nothing. He's
Captain
a good player.
Bowen just.
Yeah, Kilman. So like we said, Lopetegui had him at Wolves, so it was a deal that he kind of seemed that he wanted. And the guy that used to play for you, Pramos.
Oh yeah,
he's doing all right. It's funny how players don't suit a certain Premiership team, but they go to another Premiership team, and they look all right. They're trying to sell. The guy that kicked the cat.
Oh, Zuma.
To
Saudi
or one of the Qatari teams, but apparently there's an issue with his medical, so it hasn't quite gone through yet. So that needs to go over the line. But I'm a bit 2-0. I thought like at home.
Well, I don't think the scoreline reflected the actual performances of either team. Because I think Palace was very much in the game.
Yeah, they were. They had 2 good chances, hit the crossbar.
Yeah,
had a couple other chances. Mateta had a chance, and Edouard as well. He had a really good chance that
Really
He's
bad
spurned.
finish.
Spurned wine. But yeah, Souček put West Ham 1-0 up. He's going to be one of those kind of folklore
Celebration was
players
like a Sunday team celebration, like a Sunday team player. I was like, "Bro, what are you doing?" I was like, but I liked it. It's
Yeah, he's like, I think he'll go down in like West Ham folklore, innit?
Yeah.
He's always popping up with goals
yeah.
every now and again. And yeah, as Adrian mentioned, Bowen rounded off the win with a really good finish, actually. Wan-Bissaka came on, looked to do all right. Fulkrug came on. Alvarez came on. I think West Ham and Palace, do you think they're going to be sparring for the same kind of position, or do you think West Ham are just above them?
I think West Ham just above them because I think they've got more attacking options that they can turn to help them out.
Yeah. To be fair, they got Kudus, Bowen, and Antonio still started. Maybe they're waiting for Fulkrug just to kind of
Yeah.
get up to speed. But
Then they got
it's not
Paqueta,
Paqueta.
free kick specialist James Ward-Prowse.
Yep, very true. Yeah, but he was on the bench, didn't he?
Yeah, he
come on.
Bit, yeah.
Somerville didn't come on yesterday. They still got Ings there.
Yeah.
So yeah, their squad is it's not bad. We're saying what? 9th, 8th, 7th.
Yeah.
Fighting Man United.
Yeah.
Fighting Man United. Where should go? Fulham, Leicester. Your old boys.
My old boy.
Your old boys. So yeah, it's interesting. So you and John had a debate about Emil Smith Rowe last week. Saying can he step up and be the player for a team like Fulham?
Yeah.
And it looks like he might do. It was a really good finish.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Oh
no, it's Traore. Traore done like a little chop in the middle of the park, played the ball out to him. Emil Smith Rowe was running from the left.
Which is interesting because obviously he got a lot of goals for Arsenal coming from the left.
Yeah. And took a couple touches and then a nice little dink over the goalkeeper. It was a really good finish. And did you see the equaliser from Leicester? So it was a corner. Faust scored with a header. And initially it was
a free kick.
It was disallowed because they said that Vardy
found the keeper.
They like infringed the goalkeeper.
And the referee, I like that though. The referee looked at it on the replay.
Yeah, the referee looked at it and said, I was wrong. And I think it was right because Vardy was near the goalkeeper. But before Faust headed him, he kind of pushed Vardy away and was backing onto the line, wasn't he? So, Vardy wasn't kind of infringing after the header had been made.
And I think he ducked as well, didn't he?
Yeah. So, Leicester made it 1-1. When did they make it 1-1? Yeah, the 38th minute, just before half time. And then Iwobi was put in by Robinson, the left back at Fulham. I think it's a really good player, actually.
Yeah.
And went in and another left-footed finish from the two former Arsenal guys. Yeah. And I think him being there will help Emil settle.
I think Emil said it himself. He said I think him and one other player that he used to kind of be around the youth England setup with quite a lot.
Oh, okay.
That will help him a lot.
Yeah, because I saw like when he first signed, he played a friendly not long after, and he scored on that friendly debut. And him and Iwobi done the pre-match, post-match interview together. And you can see the camaraderie they had with each other. I really like Emil Smith Rowe. Like, I was a little bit disappointed it didn't work out for him at Arsenal, but I think it was more the injuries than anything.
Yeah.
Initially, like, couldn't really rely on him, etc.
Yeah.
And then by the time he got up to speed, like you mentioned, it was just the level had kind of moved on a little bit, which is a little bit unfortunate. But like he's still in London. Fulham are essentially they're pretty much back as an established Premiership team now.
Yeah.
So hopefully he can kick on there, and you never know, he might get like a move back up to a team challenging for a Champions League space.
Yeah.
At some point in the future. So good win for Fulham. Southampton 0, Nottingham Forest 1. I just caught the highlights of this game. Didn't seem too too interested to be honest. Morgan Gibbs White, who again I think is a really good player that could be playing for a higher team
yeah.
up in the league. He got the winner. So yeah, Southampton yet to register a win yet back in the Premiership. And if we just round it off by another one of today's games, Bournemouth won, Newcastle won. So Bournemouth took the lead through a Tavernier goal. Newcastle equalised via Anthony Gordon in the 76th minute. And have you seen the contention around this loud goal with this one?
No.
So Fulham scored a 93rd. Bournemouth scored a 93rd minute goal. What's his name? Otawara. So basically, the corners come in. He's gone to header it, and he kind of connected with his head and the top of his shoulder at the same time, but it's like more the top of the shoulder on the outside. And obviously, it wasn't intentional. It's not like he'd moved the shoulder. It's just the way he jumped.
Yeah.
Hit his shoulder, hit his head and shoulder, and gone in. Goal's been given initially. It's gone to VAR, and VAR ruled it out, saying it's handball. Like looking back, you can be like, he's hit his arm. Should be disallowed. But again, it wasn't intentional, so it's a tough one
because that is the letter of the law. Like to come off that part of the arm.
Yeah,
and when I think back to football and defending, you lean in there.
Yeah, so Iriola was going absolutely mad that he got disallowed. He actually got sent off. he was protesting.
I also saw Joe Linton throw the guy.
Oh, yeah, he clotheslined someone, and the referee just kind of gave him a yellow card. And like you got in, I know it's near the end of the game.
Yeah.
It's one of those kind of unwritten rules, isn't it? It's like, okay, I'll give him a yellow, kind of thing. But he should have been sent off, to be honest. It's only 2 games in, but yeah, just Man City, Brighton, Arsenal, Liverpool, all the teams that are on 6 points. And then it's down at the bottom, Southampton, Crystal Palace, Ipswich, Wolves and Everton yet to register wins. And just look at the fixtures for next week. So the standout ones, the early kickoff is Arsenal v Brighton. So one of those 100% records will go. And the other standout ones, we've got Newcastle v Tottenham on the Sunday, followed by Man United v Liverpool. And they're the last set of fixtures before the international break. So that's just a quick roundup of the Premier League. Just 2 quick topics to quickly discuss. So those you might have seen that Mason Greenwood has put in an application to switch his national allegiance from England to Jamaica. So this has caused a bit of contention among football fans. So kind of we all know the backstory with Mason Greenwood. But he's now back playing. Like he had a fairly good season at Getafe last year. He's now at Marseille. Steve McLaren is now the manager of Jamaica. So do you think this is Steve McLaren kind of reaching out to the representatives of Mason Greenwood and saying, I know it's a bit sticky in England, but
come over.
You could come over and play for Jamaica and help me do something.
Yeah, most definitely. I think there was I saw an interview with what's his name, Steve McLaren, and he was talking about the potential of Jamaica, and looking at some of the data behind the players.
Yeah,
and he's saying like there's so many more players that we can tap into, and I think he's looking at Mason and he's saying you can get us to the next level to be quite competitive in international football. So yeah, you got to remember when it comes to winning, certain managers will look past indiscretions. But I think also what we've got to be mindful of, we believe in rehabilitation in this country. So what I mean by that is like, if you commit a crime, you do the time for it, but the purpose of it is for you to be rehabilitated to come back into the community. Now, the difference here is even though by the social court he's been deemed guilty,
Yeah.
but actual CPS and they haven't had enough evidence, or she pulled back and
Yeah,
withdrew her
like
statement.
it didn't go to court, did it? So
They
yeah.
couldn't do anything. So this is his second chance, and if we believe in second chance, because no one's perfect, I'm not perfect, you're not perfect. We just got to let that person have that chance to rectify his mistakes, and see what that looks like. But definitely, McLaren wants to win, so he's just like,
I don't think Greenwood would have reached out to McLaren or the Jamaican team. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but
and I think you're right. If he knew that he had a chance for England again, I don't think he would.
yeah,
But I think you're right.
He knows
There's no chance. No
yeah,
chance.
no chance of him getting an England call up. And yeah, I think McLaren's kind of looked at the pool of players because obviously we've had this conversation about players who are not born in their kind of parents'
Yeah.
country, but they're eligible to play, and they kind of look to see whether they can play for the country, etc. And I think McLaren's looked at those kind of players who are eligible to play for Jamaica.
Yeah.
And I think he's seen Greenwood's name and his radars flashed like massively, and he reached out. And yeah, I think we'll see Mason Greenwood in a Jamaica shirt in the not too distant future. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where that lands. And then Sterling, there's been a lot of talk about Sterling over the last week or so. It turns out that the statement that everyone thought was released because he wasn't in the squad against Manchester City last week wasn't released because of that. It was actually his team was responding to a question that the Daily Mail had asked his representatives earlier that week because they got wind that he might not be in the squad. So they were just responding, well, if he's not in the squad, then we'll have talks with Chelsea just to kind of see what's up, kind of thing, or do he wants to play for Chelsea, etc. So the Daily Mail kind of done him dirty, releasing it within minutes of the squad being released. And it's a shame because all of the media fell for it, essentially.
Yeah.
And it was only kind of a few hours later where the real reason why that statement was given was coming out. Since then, it's transpired that Maresca said he feels that Sterling should move on anyway.
Yeah.
Where do you think Sterling should go? Like with his level of ability, all that he's done. Let's say money wasn't an option. Like
an issue.
That side, money wasn't an issue.
Yeah.
Where would you see Sterling perform well? Like he's 29 now, I think it is. So he's got at least 2 or 3, 4 good years to give someone.
He's got a lot of mileage in those legs though, because he's been playing since 16.
Yeah, he has. But I still think he's got something to give.
There's a number of teams like in the top half. You still got Tottenham, Newcastle,
Villa,
because they haven't got a left side wide forward at the moment. And then teams that could use him.
Arsenal.
We could use him. Most definitely. Like, I'm not gonna.
If Chelsea said pay 30% of his wages and give us 5 million. Because you said that option for Martinelli on the left, I think he's an upgrade on Martinelli personally.
He is, but
there might be a bit of sentimental value there.
No, there's none.
But I think on top form, I think he's a better player than Martinelli.
But we haven't seen the top form for a while. So is it a huge move in the needle to justify bringing him in? And I don't think it enhances the squad enough to justify it, unless it's absolutely free. And
well, 5 million nowadays is basically free, isn't it?
I hear you, but then I'd rather look at a youngster in Arsenal
who could come through,
who's showing a lot of signs of being a very good player, than kind of go back to, and that's not a position that we actually need to cover right now.
Yeah.
So not for Arsenal. He could be a good squad guy. He does improve the squad in its entirety, but not enough for me. So I think his options are Tottenham, Newcastle, Villa, and then maybe a European giant.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you think he would go abroad?
I don't think so. I think has he got a big family? I think
I'm not too sure.
I'm when I mean by a big family, like has he got 2 or
Yeah, I
4
know-
kids?
Yeah,
Like so, that's a lot of moving
yeah.
for them, especially if some of them are like going into secondary school or just
Yeah, and it depends where you go to as well, innit? Like you kind of if you're going abroad, you want
because
the hot
and then what often happens, they move to like the player will move to Europe by himself.
yeah,
Is that conducive to him? And then how's that going to play out in his performances? You know, if he's away from
Yeah,
his
very
family.
true.
So, there's some teams in Europe that could do with him. Juve, some teams in Germany, Dortmund. But is Dortmund a step backwards of where they are right now
Yeah, true.
in terms of their transition, their journey? Juventus in Spain, you got Atletico. So I think he's got healthy options.
Yeah, it'd be a shame if he.
I just
If he
think it's
didn't
his wages.
Yeah, but he's on 300 bags a week. Like that's mental for one. But yeah, it'd be a shame if he's still at Chelsea
But
on Saturday after the transfer window.
I don't think that's fair to say it's mental. I think just
Nah,
because,
it's I don't care.
no, because if you look at his performances for Man City and the numbers he was putting up, he's just like that wage was justified.
300 bags. That's
But-
like top echelon of player wages.
But look at his GA.
how many men in England do you think are earning 300 bags?
No, but,
Like,
but at the time, he helped City secure 3 titles.
I'm not
But what I'm saying, so remember
denying
no, but I hear what you say. But when Chelsea signed him, he helped Man City secure 3 titles.
Oh yeah, I get that, and I'm not denying that. And he would have been on a good wage at Man City.
I think
So, and at the time he moved, he was what 27.
Yeah.
So that's your big contract age, innit? So
Yeah.
you would have gone like up in it, like.
Yeah.
But I still think like 300 bags is mad. I still think it's a madness.
But why? 'Cause at the time, if City became dominant,
But he wasn't like at the time, especially the time he left. So the season he left, he wasn't like the key guy. He was in and out of the
Anymore.
team. Yeah, but like he had helped him. But at the time he left, he wasn't like the guy at City that helped them. He was kind of Pep was like, "Oh, I've played enough with you now. You can move on." And like I get it. Like you go there and you can negotiate the best deal that you can get, and he got that. Big him up. But it's still a madness.
no, but he got signed for that project as the marquee signing to get them back into being
Yeah,
title challengers, etc. Was that just
Was it
before
Tuchel's?
Tuchel?
Yeah.
Yeah. And was it just before Bowley came in?
Yeah, before the madness happened. Yeah.
And then Bowley's moved to these long-term contracts,
Yeah.
etc. So there's something there. I just think he's not for Arsenal, but definitely for Tottenham, Newcastle.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Villa.
Like he's still a talented player,
So
and yeah, I hope it kind of works out for him. All right, that's another episode wrapped up. Thank you very much for listening to us. Please share, like, subscribe, and all the good stuff on the socials. And yeah, keep the comments going.
I
Till
need to
next
work on
time.
my Arsenal merchandising still because I feel like I'm on match of the day in my top right now. So
You're too smart.
I'm auditioning for the new spot that Jermaine Genius has left in it. So I'm gonna be like, all right, and, the diversity policy, just get me in there,
Yeah,
So,
I hear that.
so
Cool.
yeah, I'm
Alright.
gonna be in some Arsenal gear next time.
Right, there. I got a new kit for you like next week. You'll see.
All
Yeah.
right.
Little debut thing.
Okay.
But yeah, like, share, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace out.